It is my honor now to introduce the President and CEO of Ocean Leadership, Rear Admiral Jonathan White. John comes to Ocean Leadership after serving our country for 32 years on active duty in the Navy. He brings a broad spectrum of both oceanographic and atmospheric knowledge to his current role. He had numerous operational assignments at sea and ashore as a Navy meteorologist and oceanography specialist, culminating in his assignment as oceanographer and navigator of the Navy from 2012 to 2015. This position included appointments as the director of the Navy's Task Force on Climate Change and Navy Deputy to the National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration. He thought when he left the Navy that he was moving into semi-retirement, but we had other ideas for him. We weren't about to let him off the hook. We are thrilled to have someone with his distinguished record of service at the helm of Ocean Leadership. I'm pleased to turn the forum over now to Rear Admiral Jonathan White.
Thank you very much, and I would certainly like to add Dr. Jackie Dixon to the list of incredible women leaders in the field of ocean and geosciences. So thanks a lot. As you see, I'm also wearing a red pocket handkerchief here, recognition of International Women's Day. It doesn't match my tie, which I apologize, but being this is about oceans and food, I had to wear one of my fish ties, which, this one's got some elasmobranchs from class Condricthes. So, Megan, I haven't forgotten everything we learned in Dr. Hilliard's ichthyology class back in, we won't talk about when. So, thanks a lot for coming out today. We really appreciate it. Let me see if I can get this right. If I can get the clicker to go here. There we go. Whoops. That's not yet. Go. There we go. Stop. You didn't see the other one yet. It's a surprise. Last year we had the Public Policy Forum on Ocean Resiliency. And one of the talks, great talks last year, and certainly Bob Correll was there. It was this diagram in a slightly different form, the best I could recreate. It was this food, water, energy pyramid on top of ocean, climate, atmosphere sort of field of play, if you will. And one of the actions coming out of that was we really wanted to drill down into some of these areas and look at, these are incredible linkages here, incredible problems that are represented by the statements up there. And so that was, maybe we want to take a look, and we were already talking about food security in terms of national security, global security. Then I went around, and even starting before that, I had a chance to visit a lot of the member institutions of COL, Consortium for Ocean Leadership, and I really started to understand the great science and great technology that's going on and looking how a resilient and sustainable ocean can provide food sources that can possibly satisfy the food security issues that lie in front of us. So that's really how we got here today, and and talking about our food security and choosing this as a topic. The more we've gotten into it, the more I've understand how complex it is, and how there's a lot of great work, a lot of understanding that's going on, but we need to elevate the level of that understanding, and I think take a hard look at it from a national and international perspective as well. I do want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank KC, everybody I think knows her and the team that put this together. They've done an amazing job, as you'll see throughout the day. I want to remind folks coming up, cell phone quiet, please, of course. Also, please, as you're coming up here to speak, please pay attention to time. We have Suzanne Garrett as the Time Lord down here, and not just signs that we've done in the past. We have the stoplights here, so you're not gonna. Believe me, you'll know when it starts to turn yellow and red. So, talked a little bit about why we're here. Now, what is food security and food safety? This is a can of Spam at 5,000 meters in the Marianas Trench. So assuming that there's spam still in that can, it's very safe and secure. But that's not what we're here to talk about. But it is pretty neat. It's going to be there for a while, I would guess. You could probably still eat it in about 50 years. I don't know. But really, going back to what this really is, we need to take a look at what we've discovered, what we understand. Again, our motto at Ocean Leadership is discovery, understanding, and action. And we're going to try to bridge that with a lot of these issues that we talk about today. In 2015, there was a UN report that said we expect by the middle of this century for the population to grow to roughly 10 billion people over the just over 7 billion that we have today. Some people say 9 billion, some people say so we'll say about 10 billion by 2050. That population is growing largely in the regions of Africa and the Indo-Pacific region, coastal areas where we're already strained for food. A quarter of the people that are living in sub-Saharan Africa are currently undernourished. So what's going to happen when we grow the population there? We know about this problem. It's well recognized. I don't think the ocean's role was that well recognized. When you look at the big picture, we did. Our nation, we passed a Global Food Security Act last year. It was signed by the President into law. That empowers the U.S. agencies to do more in the global food security perspective. We need to think more about the ocean in some of these efforts if you read that act. We really need to start taking a look at things like, there's been that there will be likely a 23% increase in the consumption of cattle and land-based species for meat by 2050 as well. Do we have enough? A lot of indications say that our land-based animal protein cannot support this population going forward. The Food and Agricultural Organization of the UN said that a study said that in the 1960s that the per capita fish consumption around the world was roughly 9.9 kilograms, or 22 pounds for those of us who've had to do the metric English conversion for years. But it's going to basically double, or has doubled by now. So we're up to roughly 44 pounds per capita consumption with everything that the food goes into, that seafood goes into, that turns into food and nourishment for your body. So that's what's happening, stressing our oceans, stressing our agriculture and land, and that's why this is such a big problem that we're dealing with. Roughly around the world, fish provides about 20% of the animal protein and derivative in humans' diet, is the latest sort of estimates there. On land, we have issues of the ocean's impact on weather, on climate, on weeds and fungi and the parasites, and the changes that are ongoing in our ocean impact the changes in weather and climate that are impacting our agriculture. That linkage is critical to understand and being able to look at long-term food security for our world. The migration of the fish, the changes in where fish are living and being caught and sustaining the ecosystems, process that are going on in our changing ocean, we don't necessarily understand that well. We also need to make sure that we invest in the research and the scientific efforts to better understand that as we take a look at food security. We need to understand also that if we don't take care of sometimes our undernourished earth or land and marine ecosystems and agricultural sources, that we are basically impinging upon the human rights. In 1948, the United Nations said that the right to food is protected under the Declaration, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which we need to think about as well. So not only is it something that we know we need to do, it's something we really have to do at the international level, and I think we can lead that with a lot of people that are here today. So, thank you for coming here today. That's the first step, is showing up today, growing in the understanding of what the problem is, and we've got a great bunch of speakers and experts. We're all going to learn from them, growing that understanding so that we can turn that understanding into action going forward is what we really want to do. We have all morning to discuss these topics. We're going to do a lot of collaboration. And remember, in the ocean, that collaboration begins with COL. Don't ever forget that. So we're happy to lead the efforts of beginning and hopefully furthering the collaboration ongoing in this effort. We think about the ocean and food, we think about safety and security. We're going to talk about food safety in the morning. We're going to talk about security in the afternoon with a panel. We've got a lot of interspace, as you know, by some great speakers, some members of Congress, and we're going to really drill down into these efforts. By food safety, it's having safe access to food. It's having safe access to food that is safe, that is grown safely, that you can basically make sure that you know where the food came from, what's in it, or is it been impacted by harmful algal blooms, by parasites, by other conditions that may impact its safety. Then there is food security that we're going to shift to this afternoon, food security and making sure that we have a secure source of food for the growing population. Also looking at food security and that security's impact on global security. And we have a wonderful guest speaker that I'll talk about later, retired Admiral Paul Becker, who understands the global maritime ocean security framework probably better than anyone else that I know. When we take a look at the oceans and we take a look at, the impact of the oceans on food, one way to look at it is that we've got things that are happening in the ocean, the in situ food issues of the ocean. Wild-caught fisheries, and again, the changing things that are happening, the impact on the fish that are in the ocean. The aquaculture and mariculture is a subset of aquaculture dealing with the ocean and ocean systems. The farming of fish in the sea and how that can help to alleviate some of this stress and strain. But then we've also got, as I mentioned before, not the in situ, but the ocean's derivative impact on food sources. Not just on climate and things like that, but think about what are the ocean products that go into food. If you had a cheeseburger or a steak within the last couple of days, you really had a piece of seafood, because it's very likely that there was fish meal used in that cattle feed somewhere. Certainly could have been. It's also very likely that fish meal was used as fertilizer to grow the other types of products that were actually consumed by that cattle that led to that beef as well. So as you can see, the derivative impacts of the ocean on food security, not just in situ, is also very critical. So I'm about to turn it over to the experts here. Just wanted to give you a couple more things to think about. We're going to talk a little bit about the illegal, unreported, unregulated IUU fishing as well, and how that impacts the global security picture, food security issues. It's transnational crimes. As we're going to get into, it's not just about the actual fishery issues and drive into that impacts livelihoods, that impacts the health of ecosystems and fisheries. It's also about transnational crimes such as slavery, human trafficking, trafficking in arms, trafficking in drugs. This is all part of the same network, and that's why it's become such a critical issue. And we'll be talking about that, as I mentioned. So I think it's pretty clearly understood, hopefully I've helped to set the stage a little bit, how the issue of ocean and food is something we've really got to get our arms around. We've really got to take this seriously and move forward with and have some real actions. One of the organizations that certainly leads this effort, and there are many agencies in the U.S. is certainly NOAA. NOAA that's dealing with fisheries, that's dealing with the ocean's impact on climate and weather prediction. They cover a lot of this ground. So we need to make sure that we understand the value of NOAA. We've got a couple of great speakers today here. They're going to help sort of frame what NOAA does. And it's certainly very important. And I've worked with them back in my Navy career on these issues quite a bit. So I certainly want to give them credit for the great work that they're doing. But at the end of the day, I want to look at some actions that we can have going forward to this. We need to take some actions throughout the coming year and forward. Actions that may be related to policy. It may be related to things doing with the international area. It could be policy related to how we track seafood, trace seafood, all those types of things. But it could also, we have some acts coming up. People are talking, there's already been an there's already been a House resolution about looking at an amendment to the Magnuson-Stevenson Act. And Congressman Don Young will be here, and possibly, and hopefully we'll talk about that a bit today. The farm bill is coming up within the next couple of years for a look. Should fish farming be in the farm bill more? Mariculture, aquaculture, things we need to take a look at, certainly from a policy perspective. So it's going to be a great day. I hope you're excited, as I am. I would like to also say We would not be doing this if it weren't for the sponsorship and the support. We've had so many great sponsors here, and I'll be talking about them a couple times. Several of them have exhibits downstairs. There is a lot of stuff in the material out there. But we want to thank the Marine Stewardship Council, the Nature Conservancy, the Wandering Mouse, no. We want to thank the Monterey Bay Aquarium and their Seafood Watch program, and I'll talk more about these as I said, as well as Blue Circle Foods, Environmental Defense Fund, Highliner Foods, the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, MBARI, one of our members, as well as University of South Florida and the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, our members who've also helped out there. So this has really been a team effort to get us to where we are today. And so I thank you, and again, it's been great to see the high level of support and interest here. I would like to make a comment also. There are a lot of seats open in the middle. I know people are coming throughout the day, so feel free to make somebody stand up or slide over or whatever and make yourself comfortable, especially over in this side of the room. For the folks that are just coming in, I encourage you to do that. So without any further ado, we're going to get this started. I would like to, and by the way, also, I'll talk more about lunch. We do have lunch for those of you who have not been here before, have not had the pleasure of riding one, and there's an extra of the 2 slowest elevators in Washington, D.C., up and down to go down to the first floor. There will be a buffet. The food is excellent, but I would suggest don't everybody hurry down there at once to grab it. It might take a while to get up and down the stairs, elevators, those type of things. So anyway, we need to hurry. Okay, so anyway, when you get down there, and I encourage you, there's outdoor areas that you can go and eat as well. There's going to be plenty of area to eat, but please certainly, I will talk more about lunch and more of those specifics as we get to that in the day as well. So now we're going to hear from the experts so I can sit down and shut up and learn like everybody else. I do encourage the folks that are going to come up here, again, pay attention to the time. We want to have conversations. There's a lot of expertise in this room that we want to take advantage of. So please leave opportunity for conversations back and forth and to make sure that we can explore these important issues very thoroughly. So to start off, I'm going to introduce Dr. Megan Davis. Yes, we did go to college together back at Florida Institute of Technology at Jensen Beach campus not that long ago. And the amazing thing is that they actually had an aquaculture technology program at the Florida Institute of Technology, and Megan was one of the students there, as were a couple of my friends and roommates going forward. It was one of the first, I think, of its kind. The good thing is that Megan actually left there, and she's worked in the aquaculture business. She's set up a business. She's done a lot of great things in aquaculture throughout a lot of her life, so she really brings a lot of expertise looking at oceans and food safety and how you manage and create a business like this. Such a critical time for expertise like hers now. So she's now the Director of Academic Affairs and Economic Development at Florida Atlantic University's Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institute. And we're going to take advantage of her knowledge and experience in the Caribbean, along the Atlantic coast, dealing with aquaculture, marine ecology, education, and I'll let her go ahead and come up and introduce the first panel. So thank you very much, everyone, again, for being here, and we're going to have a great day. Thanks, Megan.